Hello folks, I will briefly go over rational equations today, a couple of examples. So rational equations are equations that involves rational functions. So it's like a fraction of polynomials. So I'll briefly go over how we solve these type of problems. The first one is let's look at this example: 2 over x minus 2 plus 4 divided by x minus 3 equals to 5x divided by x squared minus 5x plus 6. How do we solve this equation? We try to figure out the x values that satisfy this equation. So the first thing, folks, you need to do is you have a quadratic here that you need to factor. And you can easily factor this one. You look for 2 factors of 6. It's a monic polynomial. It's a monic quadratic equation. That means it's just 1 is a leading coefficient. So you look for 2 factors of 6 whose sum is -5. You can just see that's -2 and -3. Actually, you may first guess the ones in here. It might be different, but usually just get these two same at this level. So this is simply x minus 2 times x minus 3. Now next, you need to determine the least common denominator for this equation. So it's the least common denominator is the polynomial that includes each denominator as a factor. So in this case, you have x minus 2. So for the LCD, you need to include x minus 2. And then you need to include x minus 3. And then you don't have to add any more because this LCD that you started and just end up right now includes that one already. So this is my LCD. So the point of LCD is this: if you multiply each term by LCD, you will get rid of all the fractions. So multiply each fraction here by the LCD. Let me write it in different color in detail. So this is going to be x minus 2 times x minus 3. And we have plus 4 divided by x minus 3. And multiply that one by same x minus 2 times x minus 3. And then that's equals to 5x divided by x minus 2 times x minus 3. And that's also multiplied by x minus 2 times x minus 3. So see now all those similar ones, like they'll cancel, common factors. X minus 2 and x minus 2, they cancel. X minus 3 cancels with x minus 3. And here x minus 2 cancels with x minus 2, and then x minus 3 cancels with the other x minus 3. So see now you come up with actually a linear equation. 2 times x minus 3 you can distribute 2, so it's going to be 2x minus 6 plus distribute 4, it's going to be 4x minus 8 equals to 5x. See now this is linear equation. See, you get rid of the fractions. That's the beauty of working with the LCD. So you can combine the like terms, 2x and 4x, that makes 6x. Then I have minus 14 because that's -6 and -8 equals to 5x. So you can subtract 5x from both sides. These two will cancel. So I got x minus 14 equals 0. So x equals 14. Folks, this is the solution, but you have to check this with the original equation. So this number 14 does not make any denominators equal to 0 in the original equation. This is what you need to check. So if that makes some of them, for example, let's say you find the solution to be 2 or 3, then you will say it doesn't have any solution because that solution doesn't work. So here our solution is just 14. That works. So we check that. Now in the next example I'll show you how it may not work. So here's the second example. So you have a fraction and 1, and I mean you can of course write this one as 1 over 1 as a fraction. So now, and then x squared minus 1, it's a difference of 2 squares. You can write this as x minus 1 times x plus 1. So the LCD in this case will be x minus 1 in the first here, and then 1, you can ignore that one, because x minus 1 times 1 is x minus 1. Then here you have x minus 1, so you have to insert another x plus 1. That's my LCD. So now again, multiply each one by the LCD. 2 over x minus 1 multiplied by x minus 1 times x plus 1, and then plus 1 times x minus 1 times x plus 1. You already have no fraction in there. Then we have 4 over x minus 1 times x plus 1 multiplied by x minus 1 times x plus 1. Here we go. Now let's do the cancellations. X minus 1s will cancel. Here x minus 1, and x plus 1, x plus 1. They cancel. So what I got from here, I got 2x plus 1, 2x plus 2, I'm sorry, because we distribute that 2 here to x and then to 1. Here you know that's the difference of 2 squared, so it's going to be plus x squared minus 1. At the right side, you simply have 4. Now this is, you see that's a quadratic equation because it is an x squared. So let's just combine the terms. Like we have x squared here, we have a 2x here, and then from 2 and 1, we have plus 1 equals to 4. Then we have x squared plus 2x. When you see, you can subtract 4 from both sides. So that will make it 2x minus 3 equals 0. Now that's a quadratic equation. Folks, if you come up with any quadratic equation, you can use quadratic formula if you get stuck. But for this one, you can factor, you have a monic quadratic equation. You can find two factors of negative 3 whose sum is 2, which is 3 and negative 1. Okay? So if you factor that one, you got x plus 3 times x minus 1 equals 0. So you see you got two solutions from here. One, x equals negative 3, or x equals 1. But you can clearly observe this one. This number 1, that makes denominator equal to 0 in the original equation. So I have to take this out. It's not a solution. Negative 3 though, it works. So negative 3 is the only solution. If you come up with something like one of them and it doesn't work, then you say no solution. But in this case, negative 3 satisfies that one. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video, and see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.